Welcome back to Fishing Glass. This is Gene, and today we're going to discuss taking apart the Garcia Mitchell 302 saltwater spin reel. This is just to make sure that everything's got lubrication in it to get ready for the season coming up for fishing, and to make sure there's no issues with it. It's a relatively clean unit. You can get these at probably flea markets and stuff like that. They're built in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and they come from France. So let's get started here. There will be a couple things as I go along in the video that you have to make sure you pay attention to because you don't want to lose parts. As a matter of fact, I recommend videotaping yourself taking it apart if you got that capability. Most people do today. Therefore, you can see how it's done. See, because pieces will fly out. If you don't know where they go, you'll be lost, and you don't want to lose your parts. Okay, so as we tear this down and spindle here, removing these compression springs for your line and stuff like that, and pull this off. The main thing in this upper part here is this has got a bunch of washers right here in the center. Now these washers in here are stacked on top of each other. Now, what's good about it is this one's got a manual or a diagram on the inside how to take it apart. Otherwise, you can take them out one at a time and lay them across in the order in which they go in, which is what I'm going to do right now, because sometimes it's a lot easier in most cases to take them out and put them back as you assemble it. And I'm going to lay them out like they would be on that diagram off to the side here. So we'll do that quickly here and get them out of the way. Make sure you take them out in the exact sequence in which they were in when you put them in. Or if you have the luxury of having a diagram on the inside of your reel, all the better. Okay, so look at that. 1, 2, 3 more washers. So I got like, looks like there's about 9 washers here. I'll count them here in a second. Just to let you know. And they are thin, so you don't want to lose them. And then there's like a little rubber one here on the very bottom. I'm not going to pull that one out. But I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 washers that go right inside here. And so, like I said, there's a diagram on the other side that goes all the way from the top down, including those 8. So let's go ahead and continue tearing it down. So we're going to take this here inner spindle part off this shaft right here. Get it out of the way. I try to do everything as I can with light tools, because a lot of times I don't carry a lot of heavy tools out when I'm out fishing. Usually it's just my Leatherman, so I try to do it with my Leatherman that I carry with me. And most of the time that's enough just to get her down. And if there's anything that major needs to be fixed, or minor I should say, you gotta fix. So here's another bolt on the bottom, and yet another washer that's going to come out. I'm going to pull out this last washer here. You'll see it on the shaft. Then you're going to see that also there's this lower unit here. Now when you pull this out, you got to be careful. There is a little key that locks the shaft to this lower unit so it spins. So you can see the key. I can see the key right there. It's a little piece. I'll point at it with the screwdriver here. Right here. So let's get that out of there. You do not want to lose that. And we'll put it down on the side there. So then when we reassemble. So last thing we're going to do, I left the handle on for a reason, because you want to have the shaft in the upper position when you assemble it together. Otherwise that just screws off backwards. But what I wanted to show you is the inside, the gears and everything. They're all good. I'm not going to take out both sides, just the main side here. On the what I consider the opposite side of the handle. And so you can see what it looks like. Now I haven't had this apart in a while, but yet I do gear these up pretty good, so we'll see what she's got in there still. Mainly you want to look for any kind of dry oil, like I said, or grease, and make sure that you replace it if it's dried out, because what happens is it's not functioning like it's supposed to if the grease is dry. So we'll take this cover off here, and then there you go. You can see the inside there. Still relatively goodly greased up, and as it functions, I can turn the handle. I can see all the gears and everything moving. So that's, there's no issues with with what I'm showing you here. Everything looks good and lubed up. So, next step is if you needed to put grease in there, go ahead and do that at this point. And then make sure that it's, like I said, there's no dry grease or anything like that. And then we're going to go ahead and start the reassemble process here. Because like you, I like to get out fishing. I don't want my fishing equipment to fail me when I'm out there. So take your time. Make sure all the pieces are fit back together properly. And that you aren't leaving any pieces out. Because if you, like I said, if you haven't done this before, make sure you go ahead and at least videotape yourself doing it. And then after you've done it a few times, you might even want to practice doing it. It'll get to be pretty straightforward about how to do it. And then you'll find out a lot of your reels are similar in design. And that they'll come apart and go together just as the same as this here Garcia. So the main purpose is when you're out fishing and you got, when you want to change out your line, get all that stuff together. And when you're out there and you get a nice fish on line, you don't want to have your reel go bad or something snap inside the gearing there because there's no grease in there. So you just want to make sure everything is finely tuned up. So right now we got the side back on, so we're going to go ahead and put that little pin back into the shaft here, which is, if I turn the handle here, right there. So you got to make sure too that this is in a specific position so that pin can sit in there nice. We can see it. You don't want to be trying to do it awkwardly. So if we get that in there, we've already got it in the hole. You got to make sure that it's lined up right when you put that lower piece back on for your spindle area to hold your fishing line. You see it pops right out. So it's not very deep. It's very shallow. So just got to make sure it's in there right. And you'll know once it's in there because you can feel it pop. And then you're good to go. But take your time, like I said, get it lined up right. And then you can use your needle nose if you need to get it lined up in there good. And then push it down, tap her down with your screwdriver. My fingers are just too big to handle this little stuff. So I gotta kind of get it lined up. And then tap it in there as best I can. With that, the needle nose is very, okay. There we go. Okay, so now that pin is lined up on the shaft, we can go ahead and put in the lower unit. There we go. So now we're going to put the lower unit back on. That shaft is lined up good, that pin. And it is, looking good. So you got to put it right into, there's a notch. I'll show you here. There's a notch right there. That's got to go over that pin. As you slide it on, and it'll go all the way down flush. So let's get it on there. Get her in place. Okay, so now she went all the way down. And you'll be able to tell that there's threads on the top there for the lower bolt to go on. If there's no threads, you ain't down far enough. And probably your pin didn't line up on that shaft right. So here we go. We're going to put the lower bolt back on. And lower nut. And we'll crank it down a little bit so it's snug. You don't have to get overly tight on these things, but snug is good. There we go. Doesn't take a lot. And then you go ahead and put on this other, on top of that, the other shaft bolt, which is for the upper unit. Get that on there, tighten that down a little bit. Like I said, don't get too crazy, not necessary. So then, what we're going to do is we're going to line this upper piece on, and then we're going to put the washers on after it's in place. So as you can see, it's in place, then you got the grooves. There's grooves on the inside of this thing that match up with your washers. So we're going to start putting these washers on one at a time into this here upper unit. And like I said, the diagram will show you where you can lay them out however they came out. And like I said, once you've done it a few times, it's just like clockwork. You'll be a pro. But you got to do it, and then make sure that it's all assembled correctly in order for it to function properly. It will let you know if it's not together right because it won't work right. And you'll never get all these washers lined up if you don't line them up just right inside here. And they have to be lined up exactly precise. Okay, so I got about half on. Still got about four more to go. I'll get those on here in a second. Okay, there's one more. And that's on. And then tap them down a little bit with your screwdriver or whatever tool you got. And then just like I say, make sure they go on right. They can only go on one way. And then that's on. You got a couple more to do here. And they'll be on. One more. And let's see what we got here. All right, there we go. So now it's almost on. It's got to be exactly flush. And it is. It may appear, there we go. It'll fit on her just and snug when it's on the right. And then you got the spring that goes on top of that. And then you got to assemble the top piece. What I do is I put the washer inside there, the little square one. And then I take this and I put it in there because you got 3 grooves that's got to line up. And for me, it's the easiest this way to do it than to put it on there first and try and line it up on there. So this just worked out for me. It may work out differently for you. And then I take and I go ahead and I slide that on there, tighten her down, snug her down a little bit, make sure she's just snug. And then you're going to take your center screw, put that in the center here, and go ahead and snug that in there with your screwdriver. And it looks like we got it good to go there. So then we take the reel, and we're going to test her out here to make sure she's good. Open the bail, crank the bail back down, and here we go. She's ready for the season now. This is Eugene with Fishing Glass, signing off with another episode. And I got more reels I'm going to get to and get them all cleaned up for the fishing season starting here soon. Mostly I do a lot of saltwater fishing down along the Sound. So most of my reels are saltwater. But I have a lot of freshwater too, don't get me wrong. I'm going to go out to Minnesota and do fishing out there too as well. And we'll do some episodes when I get out there this year with my son and my brothers. So that's it. Gene signing off. Have a great fishing trip and have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.